flat land like a man on the run, riding down Highway 61. Sides of the roads all lined with fields, nothing but sunset in the windshield. Feel it as soon as I ride into town. This is where I go to slow down. Miles and miles of soybeans and corn. I'm in the place where the blues was born. About a mile from the big muddy river, place I'll always remember. Cabin on the lake and a fishing pole. Forever here I'll rest my soul. I can feel my worries drift away from being out in the sun all day. No matter where in the world I go, I'll always find home on the banks of that oxbow.
What's up, guys? Brad Chappell here, back at the Crappie Expo 2021, Shreveport, Louisiana. Got my buddy on the end there,
Todd Huckabee, and I got my buddy, WSD.
Hey, guys.
And Landon Albert here from Canine Fishing.
Canine Fishing. We're going to talk about fishing line and how really critical that is when it comes to fishing.
And we're also going to be eating during this. So you'll,
Yeah.
So here at the expo, Wally does the world's biggest fish fry.
Yeah.
And we was getting set up to do this, and these girls came by and asked us if we wanted some fish. And
Look at there.
after eating the hush puppies from the Camp Dog Cajun seasoning booth, they also told me that all this is fried in their stuff. So
Yeah.
And let me tell you, the hush puppies are phenomenal.
yeah,
I mean,
not only is the mix good, but we got to give a shout out to the bacon grease guy too. So
yeah.
For sure.
Everything was here at the expo for this. Man, next year, if you didn't come to this one, you probably want to go ahead and mark it on your calendars. It's really a cool deal.
Yeah, and come hungry.
Come hungry.
Right. This is the third one. I've been.
Oh, yeah.
I've got to fish all three of them, and the fish fry has always been one of the biggest attractions.
oh yeah, last year in Branson was unbelievable
Oh, yeah.
how many fish
Yeah.
they served.
Anyway, kick it out, Landon. Tell us about Canine. Kind of tell us where it was born and started.
Started in Nashville, Tennessee about 5.5, 6 years ago. Really, my dad was a bass guy, and just happened to have one or two people that got the line in the right hands. They tried the 6 pound, and like Kegel, we got Robert Robinson, whoever, and it's gone from there, and just word of mouth, it spread. And the idea was just a line that was low memory with small diameter, something that was limp, and that happened to work out pretty well with a spinning rod. So biggest complaint you have with mono and a lot of other things is you got a tiny little reel and it's getting coiled up on there, especially guys that don't fish every day.
Right.
And they don't want to go out to the lake and be fighting the line. So a lot of people have gone to that just because lack of memory, and that's probably the biggest thing, and it's pretty dang strong too. But we've also moved into braids. We got a 5 pound crappie braid, some of the small, it's about like sewing thread. Works great for if you're using like your 6.6 casting rods, and then the guys using the big poles, vertical jigging, they're going into the 10, 20 pound. And then we got a variety of colors and whatnot. We got Robert, he just got us to make a neon red,
Neon red, neon green, very high vis. You know, one of the things about crappie fishing, Todd, he knows this. You know, right now it's not as crucial, but for the wintertime bites, especially for us that cast, you know, you want to see your line. You know, like the high vis fluoro in yourself.
Thank you, Robert.
You want to see.
Thank you.
You want to be able to see that line jump if you.
I didn't know if I ever get WSD's tongue-tied.
Anyway, you want to see that line jump, you know, if you got in the neons, you know.
My line don't jump when I long line, though.
Oh, no, it don't. You got pressure on it all the time.
Right.
You're very successful at it,
Yeah.
by the way.
One thing that I use this braid, small diameter, and you didn't mention, is pulling crankbaits. I love using braided line, pulling crankbaits, small diameter. And the reason would be it dives deeper quicker. So I don't have to put out, say, 90 feet of 10-pound mono, I can use like that 4-pound or 5-pound diameter braid, and it'll dive about half the distance.
Yeah, that's the same sort of thing in the bass world. If you're using a crankbait, the deeper you want to get, the less smaller diameter you want, because the bigger the diameter, that's more drag in the water. So anything that's going to be smaller, that's going to be strong enough to hold up, is going to be getting it more down in the. I mean, you're going to be in the strike zone or down there with the fish for a little longer.
So my question for you, and I know that there's going to be a lot of people that watch this video that this is the number one question, is how do you properly put line on a reel?
How do you properly put line on? That's a great question.
You'd be surprised at how many people don't understand it.
Well, I mean, when you got it depends. So braid or something going on a spinning rod, we're used to bait casters and whatnot. And bait casters, you're going to want to make sure that the line, if the line's coming off the top of the spool, it's going back onto you don't want it crisscrossing where you have the line basically, because it has memory from being on the spool. And this with a bait caster, you don't want it coming down from underneath and then back over top, because then you're kind of reversing how it was put on the spool. But as far as with the a spinning rod or anything or braid, how we usually do it, throw it out in the yard, and there's a right way and a wrong way, and just kind of let it flip and flop, and that's about the easiest way. A lot of people try to put it on a peg and whatnot, but I think with spinning rods, it's usually better to just lay it down and let it go like that.
Let it find its own balance.
Right. What I've noticed, I'm with you. Usually, you want to pull it off the spool where it comes on, but the thing that amazes me about the fluoro is there's no memory. So there's no right or wrong way as far as I'm concerned, because there's no memory. So you're not going against that. I mean, do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, you can usually tell in the first 5-6 cranks what you get going. If you got it, like with this, you'll have it label up or label down, and if you get it on there and you get about 10-20 feet in, just stop, and if it's laying flat, then you're going the right way. If it's not, then flip it over and start going like that. So it's kind of just keeping up with what's going on before you get halfway into your spool and you're like, man, I think this is backwards. You want to check it early, and then from there, if it's good, it's good.
So do y'all recommend with braid having a backing?
It's kind of preference and how much you want to save on line and whatnot. On something real small diameter, I mean, it'd be kind of tough, but it's all preference. It's just like same thing on somebody that likes one color to another and whatever. I guess if you're being economical, that'd be. I mean, it'd be totally fine.
So I mainly use 20-pound test, and usually what I can get with the small spin cast that I use, I can fill 3 of them with 150 yards on my bait casters. I know this is kind of awkward or funny, but I take off out my back door. I've got a fence post already marked. I come around it.
I can visualize this actually.
Pull the pieces together and go out the end and cut it. And I put half on one bait caster, because unlike bass fishermen, we're not casting. We're pitching or dropping straight down.
I'm casting, Robert.
Well, but your boat's moving. The boat's moving.
I'm just kidding.
But anyways, I mean, you still, it's...
You're not in danger of spooling it very often.
Right.
I'd say that, unless you hook into a big old catfish.
No.
Whenever I set it up for crankbaits now, I use like a 30-pound mono, just, really the cheapest stuff that I can find. And I'll measure what I put on, because I'm using line counter reels. So as far as the crankbait guys listening, as far as wanting some braid, I'll put on, say, 500 feet. These are big reels. I'll put on 500 feet, just about, I would say, right about 3/4 full in the spool. And then I'll tie on my braid, because this, like I said, this is so small diameter. And then I'll fill it up to, say, 300 feet of braid. And then I cut it off and do every reel the same way. And that way I know it's calibrated.
Yeah.
My line counter's calibrated.
And this is a little off topic, but one thing that a lot of guys using mono and going to try our line is that we encourage people to look at diameter. No matter what line, if you're using our line or whatever, but pay attention to diameter over pound tets, like what it's rated at. Because diameter is diameter, and that won't change. But somebody, one brand's 10 pound and another brand's 10 pound, can feel a whole lot different. So if you're going from 6 or 8 pound mono and then going to our line, you could be going with a 10 or 12, because it's so much smaller. But just paying attention to diameter over pound test is something that I think would help quite a few people as far as comparing line to line.
Like your 6-pound test, if I'm normally using a 6-pound test, another brand, it could be anybody.
Yeah.
What is yours compared to a normal?
A lot of times it'd be closer to an 8 or a 10 in ours. It just depends brand to brand. But that's what I'm saying. If you want to compare it to what you've been using, just check out the diameters and then see what they're doing.
We got the camp dog right there coming on in. He hooked us up with some hot sauce and stuff. I appreciate that, camp dog.
That was smooth.
Yeah, that was awesome. I like hot sauce on my fish, actually, too. So that's pretty cool. Other than that, where can they find it?
Where can they find it? We go through a few distributors and then deal directly with a lot of stores, but with the distributors, we lose a little bit of visibility of where it's at. I mean, we got PTG, Grizzly Jig, and a few other big stores that are around here, but I guess just check in with your local bait shop. We don't deal with any big box. Kind of been something that we like to have is that a smaller store has something that Bass Pro or whatever doesn't have. So giving them
a website?
Yeah, but we do have caninefishing.com, and you can order off the website anytime. So, and we'll usually have about anything in stock, and we're right in Nashville, so depending on how far away you are, it'll get to you in a couple days.
All right, mono, where do you start at, and where do you finish at as far as your pound test?
We do not have mono. So basically, if you're using mono, this would be similar to a mono because it's basically a copolymer. And what I would say is it's like mono on steroids.
Okay, where do you start and where do you end?
We start with in the high vis, we start 4 pound up to, in high vis 4 pound to 20, and then the clear, I think we're at 6 to 25.
Okay, braid.
We got.
You didn't know this was gonna be a questionnaire, did you?
Yeah, I know. I'm getting a little survey, but
okay.
But we've got all the way down into this like sewing thread 5 pound, and then, well, actually we're coming out with a new cat line here soon, and that's going to be in 50, 75, and 100, but that's a little different and a little bit off. But braid wise, I think we go 10, 20. We have a gap, but 10, 20, 30. It kind of depends on color also. 10, 20, 30, 45, and 60. Which 60, I guess, not many crappie guys are.
I don't think too many crappie break.
Yeah, you're going to be catching some big crappie.
Yeah, grenada line, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, everybody's always concerned about getting their jig back. That'll do it.
I guarantee it will.
Might come back straight as an arrow.
Just don't use it on Eufaula because we don't have enough cover left to pull much more of.
I guess.
All right, WSD, let's hear it. How did your tournament go? Spill the beans.
Well, we had a pretty good practice, I guess, and we ran a lot of miles. We locked down like some of them did. You know, I wanted to start at the furthest point, work our way back. Locking down was not an option on day one because we couldn't find any better fish down than we could up. So we concentrated, you know, from the dam up. And first day, lots of fish. The big ones were nowhere to be found. I think our big fish was 148. And then yesterday, you know, we didn't make the cut. We found our big fish were there. We just couldn't get them back. We threw everything at them. Fishing, of course, you know, me and Cody both, we run the Huckabee rods. Matter of fact, I've got one of the new ones here named after Miss Kay, Ken's wife. It's going to be a popular rod. It's a 16-footer, isn't that right, Todd?
What's the name of it?
It's called the K Rod.
The K Rod.
Yeah.
I like it.
Reaching out there for them.
Named
she's
after
not that tall,
Miss K. No, she's not. That's why you put them both together and it wouldn't be that tall.
Maybe like I bet that's 3 Miss K's at least.
This probably is.
If you
I bet
stack
each
3 Miss
section.
K's on top.
Each section probably
Yeah.
is still taller than her, isn't it?
So that's at least 3 Miss K's stacked.
But
The triple K.
Yeah, triple K. We've renamed this.
yeah, the
dog.
triple K. That's what it is.
We're not coming out with a KKK rod.
Actually, yeah, hey, scratch that. The triple. No.
Only Todd would.
I didn't even think of that.
We're speaking
No, we
names,
don't
not
wanna-
letters.
Hey, because we're, you know, we love them all. But it was, you know, considering what happened to some of the other, you know, we had an awesome time here. This is, I've been blessed to have fished all 3 of these, you know, and I'm a believer. I mean, I don't know what you think, Todd, but you know, you've got your smaller, you know, hometown tournaments all the way up, and then you've got your crappie masters and all. But you know, people that criticize Wally. So let me ask you a question: in the bass world, is it not the same way? You've got your smaller tournaments, and guys think they're really good, and they might go to a state level And then maybe, you know, so I mean, we need something. I mean, why should we not have something that, you know, that's up here along with, you know, your Bassmaster Elites and some of your other stuff.
Right, and I mean, this is it, and Wally's done a great job, and, you know, me and Brad have been talking about it in, good grief, probably for 8 hours of podcast about what we're seeing here.
Oh, yeah, it's awesome.
For example, and, you know, we'll have an episode, Dan Johnson with St. Croix Rods is here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's new blood to the crappie world. I mean, they make a crappie rod, but even like he admitted, we had no idea that this is here.
Right.
Okay, you've got just Edwin Evers was here yesterday, and we did a podcast with him, and him talking about, you know, wow.
Even Favorite bringing in this big trailer and whatnot. Over here.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Well, it says a lot for what's going on in crappie, because when you have those guys coming from the bass world that usually look at that, and that's all that matters to them. That means that making some kind of push, and people are recognizing the demand and how big the crowd is that come out.
Well, you know, like Brad asked Edwin, he goes, you know, we're kind of little brother to the bass guys, but we hope to be there one day. And Edwin goes, dude, y'all are here. Look at this show. You're fishing for $100,000.
Yep.
I mean, you've done it.
Right.
You know, I just hope that if everybody listening can come next year and support this even bigger, to where we can have 5 or 6 of these a year and make a trail of this type level of fishing, to where somebody could actually do this for a living.
Well, you know, on the expo side of things, on booths, and I've had a booth. The Crappie Connection had a booth at every one of them. But every year I'm seeing new faces, new vendors, just like the Optimal batteries and the St. Croix. I mean, there's
young vendors. I mean, just starting, you know, year, 2 years, 3 years old.
Some of them been out for years, and it's never came before, you know. But now they're coming in here, so that kind of shows us as well that we're drawing more attention, we're bringing in more people, and it's kind of like us. We need people to comment and subscribe to our YouTube channel. But the crappie fishing world needs more people to get involved and say, hey, I'm going to go there and I'm going to support that industry and I'm going to help it grow. I'm going to purchase those products that these companies are putting money back into crappie fishing, and that's how it's going to get bigger.
Oh, most definitely.
That's how it's going to get bigger.
One of the coolest things with crappie fishing is like with bass, you picture the guys driving the big $70,000, $80,000 rigs, and they got whatever. But I mean, not like the guys in the tournament aren't pushing some pretty serious rods, but just as far as the crappie community, you got people in John boats on the bank, a float, whatever. I mean, you can go catch a crappie anyway, and it's a lot more fun to get kids out and whatnot and go catch 20, 30 crappie instead of grinding over trying to catch two or three bass in a day.
2 bites a day when they could go out and have 200 bites.
Yeah, it's a lot better family activity and whatnot, just something to pass time. And I think a lot of people are realizing that.
It tastes pretty good here too.
Most definitely.
Yeah, and pretty dang good.
It's this is a large event, but another thing I want to mention is y'all's podcast. So I encourage, a lot of my followers or whatever on Facebook, I give them information on the bodies of water, even though I guide on them. But the different people, kind of like this podcast here, information online and stuff. I mean, you interview so many different people out of so many different areas, and so much information. Unbelievable.
This series here, and Todd, you can get in with this, is we've covered just about every aspect of crappie fishing on the last 2 days here.
Oh, yeah.
From the tournament side to Anderson Minnow Farm.
Oh yeah?
Oh,
yeah,
man.
you wait until you hear this. They have 3,400 acres of minnow.
Of actual water, not the land.
Yes. Of actual water, 3,400.
That's crazy. Well, if you stop and think how many millions of people that fish with them, have you ever often wondered where do they get all these minnows?
I know now.
What did he say? 1.2
No, I don't.
billion.
Oh, it was in the billions.
A lot. That's crazy. That's crazy. But that's the kind of thing, that this show is so versatile. I mean, it's like, me personally, I don't use minnows, but people watching this, would, that's interesting to them, just like a lot of this other stuff,
If you don't, you'll be interested by that podcast, I guarantee it.
Right. Oh, that's crazy, that much water.
We're gonna go up there and actually film some because I think it would be really cool to see some of the
Oh, I'm
stuff
sure.
they do on video.
Sure. See where they actually come from instead of
Right,
just
yeah.
getting them from
Well-
a bait shop.
Anybody who fishes a crappie tournament who's ever had a fish die,
Right.
there's no excuse.
Yeah, we know now why.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, let's hear it.
Oh, you got to watch the podcast.
Gotta watch the podcast.
Oh, trust me, I'll
I
watch the
mean,
podcast.
Even Minnows, I learned some stuff. I mean, I
Yeah.
learned a lot of stuff.
That's crazy.
To
you're
kind of give you a little hint, it has nothing to do with oxygen.
Nothing.
So Texoma, our dead fish, I could have kept it alive. Because it was alive almost all day. We never gilled it or anything. Have no clue why it died.
Well, I guarantee if you go over there and explain it to him, he'll tell you right now.
I think I'm gonna rename Jamie to the mad scientist of minnows.
There you go.
I mean,
There you go.
The dude's legit. He's got it. I think his tag says "Minnow Lives Matter."
Probably does.
I mean, I'm serious. Because
Probably does.
he's educated and he's on top of it.
Some guys, just for a shout out, some guys we met this week, they're doing something pretty cool. I don't know if y'all seen the crappie recovery. They're just a couple guys out of Mississippi that are just avid crappie anglers. They're starting to push for
Oh yeah.
just
Crappie
basically
Forever?
yeah Crappie Forever. They're working to say, like, with live scope and everything, it's made it where big fish can't hide, and you got people coming out and you can weed through, and you can literally, I mean, you got guides and whatever, and that's where it gets tough because you got people paying and they want to go catch big fish and whatever, but they're pushing towards
Conservation.
conservation. When you go out and get a limit, work towards getting like those 10 to 13 inch eaters instead of getting 30 something like 2.5 pound crappie,
Right.
because everybody keeps calling all these
Yep,
big crappie.
absolutely.
Then the population, and that's huge for growing the sport, 'cause especially if you're trying to bring a bass guy out. A bass guy's not like, you got a kid that goes out bass fishing a lot, he's not going to get as excited catching just a 1 pound crappie or whatever. If you're trying to confirm crappie fishing, a lot of the attention I see it brings is like when they have these tournaments at Grenada or wherever, any of these big fish lakes, and you see people hold 2.5, 3 pound crappie. So I mean, I think that was a pretty cool initiative they have, just for
Yeah, I know those guys
letting,
well.
yeah, get your picture and then let her go. But if you want to eat, the best ones to eat like 10, 13 inches, whatever.
Yeah.
So
Most definitely.
So what, out here on the river, did you find any special bait, anything that works better than the rest?
So we had a selection of hair jigs, but we did not have to drop them very often. Most of the time, we used, this color right here was the one that my tournament partner, Cody McGee, I mean, that's one of my favorites.
What's the name of it?
That's Frostbite. It's a beaver bottom bait, is what it is. And it's Frostbite.
Is it cold?
No, it's not, but it's an awesome color. Now,
Hey, we was talking about names the other day. I'm gonna interrupt you.
Double.
Blue, pink, is identity crisis.
Identity crisis.
Can't make up its mind. Which
No. But you know,
We've had fun with that subject too.
I have a lot of fun with that bait when I have clients on the boat. But the thing that really tickles me is, you know what? Almost every one of them says it actually catches fish. I mean, they're shocked. So Cody was using the bigger baits. Of course, we use the Raptors. That's a new Redneck Rubber jig head. I use 16. I mean, that's me. But I've been fortunate enough, and I guess Todd will let me, I'm not going to say what it is, but I used prototypes all during practice.
Say what it is.
No, you can talk about it. We've
Okay.
kind of let the cat out of the bag already.
We'll unleash the WSD.
Okay.
You're unleashed.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to go get some more food.
Redneck Rubber. There you go. So Redneck Rubber, I have been pushing for 3 years because I'm not happy with 50% of the fishermen that we have using our stuff. And here's why I say that. Because there is 40 to 50% that will not use, they call this a big bait, and that's not a big bait at all.
What's a big bait?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe a bass bait, but I mean, that's not,
Yeah.
most of your crappie fishermen, what do they fish with? So I wanted a smaller version of a beaver bottle, and they've been working on it. So I used the prototypes all week, Matter of fact, they next day aired me another prototype. I'm unleashed, right?
He's unleashed.
So, Redneck
out the
Rubber
bag.
Yeah.
has been working, and I've been using these prototypes for a while, critiquing them, telling them yay, no, whatever. But they are going to release a weedless Raptor in a 16th and an 8th,
I saw it.
and I've been using them for 2 months, 3 months. I've been using the small baits probably 2 or 3 months. And the funny thing about the prototype new bait is they only have a 1-cavity mold. And they've got this guy making them, pouring them one at a time, and they sent me 25 of 5 or 6 different colors. So I don't know if the guy had a cooler set beside him while he was pouring these baits or what he was doing.
He took his time.
But, so Cody would drop. Most of the time, if we pull up on a stump or whatever, with a fish on it, I'll just run the live scope and say, get him. He is very, very accurate. And if they weren't interested, probably 50 to 60%, maybe even 70% of the time, I drop the new prototype, which is smaller, close to color as I could get, and they'd eat it. But I'm telling you, it's going to be awesome. I can't wait. I can't wait to get them in the stores that I represent back home, and feel honored that they actually let me field test them, and kind of critique them. But that new little bait, and it will fit on an 1/8 ounce. It just barely.
I saw a couple of them. They look pretty dang good.
Yeah, I've got they. Now I don't have the colors that we sell, but I just kind of told them some colors and they made them up for me. But it's awesome. I'm telling you, I'm so excited, especially about the weedless Raptor.
Yeah.
So I'm a guy that if I've got a weedless jig head, I'm lazy. Okay, I'll just admit I'm lazy. Okay, so you pull up and then you get into a brush pile, then you gotta grab another rod or something. So I run a weedless in open water, and a lot of people ask me, and this is, I don't know what they're thinking when they ask you this. Does that weed guard not hinder the hook set? Well, obviously if it did, I wouldn't use it. I mean, I'm not out there just to, set the hook on, and not catch the fish. But I'm pretty excited about the new products coming out, Redneck Rubber.
And does
really.
Anybody else have a weedless jig head out right now?
There's some different companies
I haven't
out there.
seen many.
There's different companies out there. But yeah, another thing I'm excited about is K9. I mean, so me and Kelly's kind of worked together on the 2 new colors, the lime green and the red, the neon colors. I wanted something that you could, like I said, you could really see.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and that's one thing going from bass world to crappie world is bass people are the exact opposite. They want the most flat, drab color you can have, and in crappie you're just looking for a line that you can see that bite and see the line jump. So that's been a little bit of a learning curve, and having people like Robert help us out.
Right, and on the fluoro, one thing that shocks me, so for us crappie guys on this high vis, we can see the line jump. But when it goes under the water, it disappears.
Yeah.
Now, how in the world do you do that?
Well, it's just because it's mostly a fluorocarbon line, and like we used to do these, whenever we first started doing these shows, we'd bring a tank in, especially bass shows, and we would tie a jig like 17-pound test, and just have it in a clear water, like tap water tank, and it disappears, because we'd get people that come up and ask all day, and they'd be like, there's no chance that yellow line disappears in the water. So when you could put it in a tank and put it there right in front of them, they'd be like, well, yeah.
I know, that's crazy, isn't it? I mean, completely crazy.
Yeah, so it makes where you can see it, but the crappie aren't really going to be, I mean, if they're line sensitive, they're not going to be worried about that line.
And that's the thing. So me and Todd, we've talked crappie for quite some time, and we always had our opinion. It's not an opinion anymore, is it?
Nope.
So when your client's back there and he's slamming the lid down and you're fixing to get your other client on a fish, what happens?
Oh, yeah.
Or one of the things that shocks me is we didn't realize, because we use bright baits in these darker waters, and we really didn't. I mean, I guess that was us, because we didn't realize in this dirty water
How far
a fish could see. That's nuts,
Yep.
But so line color, is basically for us, you know.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like 95%, just about.
Right. For sure.
And just confidence. Any kind of fishing, it comes back to confidence. And if you have something that, I mean, I know one guy's got his boat wrapped green, and he likes the neon green because it matches his boat. Like,
Right.
I mean, whatever works. I don't know.
Or pink, I think. Don't you have your boat wrapped pink
No.
color? Oh,
I don't know
okay.
where you get this information from, WSD, but it's all
There ain't
wrong.
nothing wrong with pink.
No. Real man wears pink.
That's what I hear. I don't know.
No.
Anyway, I appreciate you guys. Thanks, K9, for coming on, and look forward to
appreciate
doing some
y'all.
more stuff, guys.
Yep, for sure. Thank you.
Be sure and come out here next year.
Yep.
For sure, it's awesome.
Thanks, Cab Dog, for the condiments and stuff. But like, share, comment. Till next time,
Yeah.
Brad Chappell here.
Todd Huckabee.
Landon Alberts.
Robert Robinson. See you guys.
Holla.
About a mile from the big muddy river, a place I'll always remember. Cabin on the lake and a fishing pole. Forever here I'll rest my soul. I could